From Washington, this is VOA News. Egyptians will vote on a draft of a new constitution. There does not seem to be any breakthrough in negotiations aimed at ending protests on the streets of Bangkok. I'm Ira Mellman reporting from Washington. A 50-member panel has approved a new draft constitution for Egypt. It will be put before voters next month. The draft is the first step toward bringing democratic rule back to Egypt after the July ouster of President Mohamed Morsi. It would also replace the Morsi pro-Islamic constitution. The new constitution calls for presidential and parliamentary elections within 6 months after the voters ratify it, but it would be up to interim President Adly Mansour to decide which election would be held first. Meanwhile, authorities used tear gas Sunday to break up a protest in Cairo's Tahrir Square against Mr. Morsi's ouster. No injuries were reported. More than 100,000 protesters gathered in the center of Kiev Sunday to express anger over the president's refusal to sign a free trade pact with the European Union. Riot police used tear gas and flash grenades Sunday after a few thousand protesters broke away from the peaceful rally and tried to storm a nearby administration building. Ambulances carried dozens of injured people to hospitals. The crowd was defying a government order against demonstrations. Sunday's gathering was by far the largest in more than a week of protest. The government decided last week against the trade agreement with the EU, saying Ukraine needed to continue its close ties with Russia. No movement has been reported in talks aimed at putting an end to protests in Thailand's capital city.
Prime Minister Yingluck came to power in 2011 after her party won a landslide election. She is the sister of Thaksin Shinawatra, ousted as prime minister in a 2006 military coup. He is in Dubai, facing a 2-year prison sentence for a fraud conviction should he return home. The governing party's proposal of an amnesty bill, which would have pardoned Mr. Thaksin, was the catalyst for the latest anti-government street demonstrations. The opposition Democrats leader Suthep Thaugsuban is demanding a People's Council select a replacement national leader. He has ruled out negotiations with Ms. Yingluck or the possibility of new elections. But numerous protesters, including one woman identifying herself as Pasada, appear willing to abide by a more democratic process.
We all want a new election. Can't stand them anymore. We have to bring them down.
Steve Herman, VOA News, Bangkok.
China has launched its first robotic expedition to the moon's surface, the latest step in an ambitious space program seen to reflect the country's rising global stature. The Chang'e 3 lunar probe, which includes a Jade Rabbit rover buggy, blasted off early Monday morning Chinese time on board an enhanced carrier rocket from the Xinjiang Satellite Launch Center in China's southwestern Xinjiang province. The Sichuan province, rather. Chinese state television showed a live broadcast of the rocket lifting off. The probe is due to land on the moon in the middle of this month to explore its surface and look for natural resources. It is the world's third lunar rover mission, following ones from the United States and former Soviet Union decades earlier. Pope Francis has called on Catholics to pray for people suffering from HIV and AIDS during an address on World AIDS Day. Upon told crowds gathered at St. Peter's Square at the Vatican Sunday to pray that every sick person has access to the care they need. World AIDS Day has been held on December 1st every year since 1988. HIV/AIDS campaigners say World AIDS Day is important because it reminds the public and governments that AIDS has not vanished. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, an estimated 35 million people are living with HIV/AIDS worldwide. HIV is the virus that causes AIDS. More than 25 million people have died globally from HIV/AIDS since 1981, making it one of the most destructive pandemics in history. Read more about this on our website at voanews.com. The National Zoo in Washington has revealed the name of the rare female panda cub born in August. It is Bao Bao. In keeping with the Chinese tradition, baby pandas are not named until they turn 100 days old, and zoo officials said Bao Bao means precious or treasure in Chinese. More than 123,000 people cast votes online to name the baby. Other suggestions including Linghua, meaning delicate flower, and Mulan, which means brave warrior. I'm Ira Mellman, VOA News.